Hey everybody, welcome back to Reachin Reverie. Thank you for choosing this video to watch today. Today we are going to go over to the property and I'm going to show you guys what we've done in the past week. Today is June 23rd, so that means that Josh and I are officially landowners for a week now. So we've done a lot. Before we really dive into the tour and update at the new property, I am going to attempt the impossible. And I want to give you guys an update of the garden here at the rental property. My goal is to try to keep the garden tour under 5 minutes. I'm going to show you guys a quick update on what's going on here in the garden, and then we're going to ride on over to the new property and show you what's going on there. I really don't know if I can keep this 5 minutes or less, but let's go for it. We're just going to dive in. So in this bed, this goes along the length of the rental house. I have a 4-foot section where I am growing indeterminate tomatoes, and my tomatoes in this bed are doing really good. Some of these tomatoes are already over 8 feet tall, and it's just surpassing all expectation here. On the end, we have my blue butterfly pea that has climbed all the way up this trellis just as I hoped it would, and doing really well. We have some beautiful smelling basil going on right there. In this bed we also have Costaludo Fiorentino, which is doing really good, nicely produced tomatoes. I just love the uniformity on these tomatoes. My Brad's Atomic is doing really good. I don't have any new tomatoes. I've only gotten one tomato off of this plant, but Brad's Atomic, every year that I've grown it, has been one of the first varieties to get sick and die. Doesn't really do very well in West Texas Chihuahuan Desert. Hanging in there this year. Still really green, free of disease, so I'm really proud of it. My favorite tomato this year, by and far, is the Crimson Cushion. I can see we've got super heavy production going on this plant. And this is the one that is well over 8 feet tall, going up and beyond. I don't even know how I'm going to harvest the tomatoes up there. And then on the end, I have the Buratino, which is a paste variety that grows and ripens into an orange tomato. And this one's doing really good too. Nice and tall, lots of flowers, lots of hope for juicy tomatoes. And then on the end, I have this rose bush, and I just thought I'd show you guys. Our leaf cutter bees have been working really hard this year, making this rose into Swiss cheese. So I said 5 minutes, and I look and I already see I've got a 2.5 minute clip on here, so I've got to kick it into double time now. In this bed, everything's doing okay. Not really much anything different. Got some cantaloupes, got a zucchini squash, and some other stuff. Yeah. Over here I have another try at starting desert willow, which I am super determined to plant at our property. Desert willow is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, native plant in our area here in the Chihuahuan Desert. So I have it separated into 3 sections for the different colors that I'm planting. I have a magenta purpley, real dark purple flower, white flowers, and light pink flowers. And all of these seeds I foraged for here locally. And the next pot over, by the way, desert willow, I've been trying to grow from seed for months. I literally keep trying, and I don't know. So if anybody has grown desert willow from seed, put it in the comments below. Am I just like not really sure what I'm doing here? I've gotten all different kinds of seed ages, different seeds from different plants, and this is what desert willow looks like when I try to start it. It looks like dirt. Nothing comes up. In this pot over here, however, I do have Palo Verde and a cat claw. Don't tell Josh. He doesn't want me to plant cat claw. I'm actually probably gonna have to rehome that cat claw because I was specifically requested not to plant cat claw on our property. I love cat claw. Anyway, Palo Verde are right here, and I went to Terlingua about a week ago and harvested the Palo Verde seeds from Josh's mom's house, and literally put them in the ground, and like 3 days later we have Palo Verde. So I don't know why the desert willow looks like this, but we will have Palo Verde on the new property. Palo Verde is another native that does really well out here in the Chihuahuan Desert, and it is an edible legume, so that's really cool. My official tomato bed is doing okay. Nothing's really as tall as the ones on the wall. These guys are more like 2.5 to 3 feet tall, but we do have tomato production. Some that are coming up on being ripe. So I can't complain too much. These guys, I don't know if it's the soil. I think the soil is just a little bit different than what I have up along the house. So maybe need to make some adjustments and do some extra fertilizing here. But in this bed I have Sart Roulois, I have Amish paste, Black Crim, Queen of the Night, and then I think I also have like the Jersey Devil, the long, looks like a pepper shaped tomato. This is my Queen of the Night. My first time growing this variety, and I really thought that Queen of the Night was going to be more of like a cherry tomato, and it's turning out to be more of like a saladette sized, nice and big. So I feel like I'm definitely going to grow this again. Really like the intense flavor and the anthocyanins showing up on this tomato, so it's going to be a really healthy tomato, full of versatility. And I like that it's larger, because to me the smaller tomatoes lose function and integrity when you try to preserve them or make them into things. So I'm really excited about the Queen of the Night. And then of course in my pot, my last section for tomatoes, we have Brad's Atomic, which looks kind of like Queen of the Night, but it's more of a grape tomato than a saladette. And then I have another Buratino plant, where this is that Amish paste style tomato, but it ripens to orange instead of red. So it has lower acidity and tends to do really good for making like things like pasta sauces. Got some Bird of Paradise down here, which we're gonna plant on the property. This is a it's Mexican red Bird of Paradise. It does really good. It's kind of like a shrub-like plant that grows to be between 6 and 10 feet tall and just as wide. I have my pepper bed right here, and the peppers are doing pretty good. We have habanadas, which is a spiceless or heatless pepper that is like a habanero but without any of the heat. We have Buena Mulata, which is a purple cayenne type variety right here. So about 3 weeks ago, this Buena Mulata pepper plant had a stem down here that was just hanging on by a thread. It was almost severed completely across by roly-poly damage, and I had wrapped it in this saran wrap. Excuse my finger color, I was pruning tomatoes. It was wrapped in the saran wrap for about 3 weeks, and now it is completely solid. You could see right there where it had been severed, and I splinted it with the saran wrap, wrapped it nice and tight, and it completely fused back together. And this plant is stronger than ever and producing beautiful purple cayenne peppers. Brown and black jalapenos. We have mini bells right here. Some basil. I've got purple basil and African basil. And then we have shishitos, which I've been harvesting a lot of shishitos to throw in dishes. It's really easy to come out and grab a handful, as they are super productive, and they are one of the early producing peppers right here. There's pepperoncini as well, and then we have block pepper here in the back, which has not produced anything yet, but it's still pretty early in the producing season, so it's got time. I have my chamomile bed, which is overflowing, and it looks like it's soon to flower. Zinnias, look at that zinnia, oh my goodness, love it. And then this is my tomatillo and black-eyed Susan bed. I'm hoping we're gonna get some tomatillos here pretty soon. We've got some hopeful prospecting fruit-like structures on these plants. So stay tuned for that. And just so you know, if you guys are trying to grow tomatillos, you have to have more than one plant to bear fruit. So I have 5 in this bed. So I'm crossing my fingers and my toes. Back around the corner, we've got asparagus. This is my thyme. I wish you guys could smell the thyme through the camera. Oh my goodness. We've got basil, peppermint balsam. This is the asparagus fern. And then in the corner we've got some Asiatic lilies that have kind of petered out of their flowers. We'll see if we get another round. More basil, some dianthus, catnip, and yarrow in the back. Oh yeah, look at this catnip. Whoo! Beautiful. It's my herb bed. We have spearmint, broadleaf sage, oregano. We have lavender, rosemary. This is portulaca. There's a spider web right there. Ew. We have this native sage. And then I'm really hoping my Greg's Mist flower starts to bloom soon. Really good pollinator. And then of course my olive tree. Hey, olive. My green stalk, which is just beautiful. I love these petunias. Full of color. And then my bush beans are doing pretty good. We have some multiple varieties. This is red swan bush bean. We also have some generic, just like green bush beans. Full of beans here. So I've got just a little bit more time to let these beans mature, and then I'm probably gonna pull out these plants, and I may start another wave of beans to see if we can get a second harvest this season. Or I might just plant something else. You never know. Isn't that gorgeous, that red swan bush? I started these from seeds that I had saved a few seasons back, and they're doing really good. My okra is not, okra, I don't think it's getting enough sunlight here. It's getting kind of shaded out by my bush beans. And then I have my red Malabar spinach that we've been harvesting and throwing into things like Alfredo, sauteing up, throwing into soups, but you know, really it's too hot for soup. I mean, who are we kidding? Did we actually think I could do a garden tour in 5 minutes? Yeah, that's funny. Well, anyway, let's head over to the property and I will show you guys what we've been up to there. All right, I'm headed over to the property and you do see that, right? Oh, anyway, here we go. All right, everybody, we are back on the property. This is the entrance. One thing you could see right away that we did was, this is the original gate that we have in here. It's a little narrow for pulling long trailers onto the property. So today, Josh actually removed the fence from this post to there. He added 2 8-foot posts, as we are eventually going to have 8-foot game fence as our perimeter fencing. So at these 8-foot posts, we are going to have the fencing going inward, and then we're gonna put the fence inward from here and have a gate out that way. That way things like trash trucks or trailers, things like that can really make that turn or get around and turn around and leave. We also eventually, as we get the fencing put in over here, are gonna have a cutout where the dumpster can pull in, take the trash, and then essentially turn around and leave. We'll also have a box for deliveries like FedEx where they can drop off packages without going onto the property. We'll probably also have some form of refreshments for them as well, in a little like drop-off station. Right now, since we don't have the fencing yet, and we need to still get our 8-foot fence stretcher, we just have a rope blocking off the fence line. That way you could still see a clearly defined fence line. Walking onto the property, this is so exciting. We do have this road that we have cut in. We had started this process last week. Pretty much on the first day we got the property, we started pulling out trees and cactus, and we started putting in this path that we could drive in on. And I do apologize about the wind. It's a little breezy out here this afternoon. You can see this little string kind of marks where the fence is going to go. We're going to have a gate right here. It's going to go across the drive, and then we'll have fencing going up to where the old gate starts. And then following the string along, it's gonna go to the pole right there. So it'll be like a nice triangular cutout to drive in on. We got what feels like the first rain all year, and it is June 23rd. So we haven't had very much rain this year. What feels like the first rain of the year was actually last Thursday. We got some rain that came in from that tropical storm that hit the Gulf Coast last week. And we just had one day last Thursday where it was a steady rain for about 12 hours. And that's really what we needed to pack this road down, as it felt like walking through sand when we first built it. You can see it soaked right in and dried up pretty quick, but it did help it make it more drivable and packed it all down so it wasn't like wading through sand. We also cleared out all of the brush that's in this area. This front corner of the property is where Josh is going to start depositing materials like commercial base, gravel, different materials, maybe sand, things that we're going to need to use with construction. You can see some piles of mesquite brush that I still need to get rid of. We did get a wood chipper this week, and I have the fun chore of chopping up all of the mesquite brush and turning it into wood chips. It's been a really fun job, actually. I actually really enjoyed wood chipping. You can see Josh out there on his tractor working away. I also got to learn how to drive a tractor this week, and it's really fun. I have been using the tractor to collect all of our prickly pear waste and put it into a pile that we can start composting. Later in this video, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of some clips that I took throughout the week as we were working. That way you can see some of the process, hands-on, what we were doing in the moment this week working on the property. One thing I do mention quite a bit this week are ants. And this is at least a 6-foot diameter circle right here. This is an ant mound for these huge ants that we have here in the area. They like to crawl across your shoes and up your legs, and the entrance to their mound is like 2 to 3 inches wide just for the opening. And these ants have been super active with the recent rain that we have, and they are just loving the aftermath of the rain. So these are covering just about every inch of the property. Lucky for us though, they're not very aggressive. So typically when they walk up your leg, you just have to brush them off. Josh and I do wish we could add some horny toads to the property though. Reduce those numbers just a little bit to a more comfortable level. Those cactus are going to be composted. You can see my wood chipper right there that we've got to break in this weekend. It's a really fun tool. It adds a lot more versatility on what we can do with the different resources on the property, and adding them into wood chips instead of big bulky trees. This is something that we could add into the bottom of garden beds. We could mulch paths, maybe not with mesquite, but if we get some other wood types here on the property that aren't so thorny, this would be something that we can use in a lot of different ways. We could put it in a compost heap and turn back into soil. And this little machine is pretty awesome. We've cleared out all the way to the fence around this corner. That way big trailers can really swing out and make this corner really well. Next to our power pole, we actually are going to be trying to get electric put in this week. We should be having the electric company come out and add a transformer up at the top of the pole and add the wire out to the meter box and get us all set up so that we can actually have power here and get things really going. There's another one of our compost piles right here. Turning this mesquite resource into mulch and wood chips is really neat. And look at that. Ah. Mesquites always getting stuck in the shoes. Thick shoes are super important out here. I came in the wrong shoes this morning and I had to turn around and go home because I didn't want mesquite going up through my foot this morning. So walking over to our power pole, I wanted to show you guys a lot of what Josh has been working on this weekend. He used his tractor and he dug a trench all the way out to where we are going to have our electric put in. I believe he said he dug this 44 inches. It has to be at least 3 feet. We're going to add some sand and backfill and it will be within that regulation. And this dirt, looking at it, really gives me hope for our garden. There are like literally no big rocks in this dirt. This is the best digging I think I have ever seen, and the dirt is really rich. And mesquite is a legume, which is a bean, and beans are nitrogen fixing, meaning that they put nutrients, nitrogen, back into the soil when they grow. So with all of the mesquites all over this property, I am going to try to garden using the dirt that we have here, and I think that will save us a little bit of money because I had originally planned on us doing raised garden beds, hauling in all of our own soil, and I think trying to use the dirt that we have here is going to save us a lot of money. Originally I was thinking about adding maybe 1 garden bed per year until we can fill up my garden space. It's going to be a gardening area of 40 by 115 feet, which will roughly be close to an 800 square foot garden space. Instead, with this thought, I'm going to try to do in-ground gardening and still add 1 raised bed per year possibly, but I think that that will get us a head start sooner instead of waiting for the raised beds to be built. Here we have the electric panel. This is where the electric company is going to come in. We're going to have the wiring from the pole all the way up here going into our electric box. You can see our meter right there. We did put in the grounding rods at ground level. I think these were 8-foot sticks of copper, and we had to use a T-post driver to get those into the ground. That was a workout. We have one directly under the pole and another one coming out here that's also in at ground level there. So goals for the coming week, we are going to have electric put in. We also are wanting to haul out some commercial base to put on the road to change it from a dirt road into more of like a gravel top to it. Man, I just love how quiet it is out here. And then you hear Josh's tractor in the background. But tractor work, that's good. That is the sound of production, action, getting things done. There he goes. What really makes this whole process possible, I'm checking my feet for ants anytime I feel something crawling on me. What really makes this process possible is the fact that with Josh doing most of the work and me helping him out where we can, we are saving a lot of money that we would be spending on contractors to get things done. So just being able to do as much as we can on our own without having to hire out additional help really can help get us moving forward the way that we want to. So Josh is a jack of all trades, and he actually does get hired out for contractual work here around town locally. And we were crunching the numbers today and figured that doing all of this work ourselves has roughly saved us already around $5,100. And that is just in the first week as a landowner. Clearing the property of debris, wood chipping the mesquite instead of having to hire somebody to go dump it, cutting the road, digging the trenches, setting up the electrical panel. All of that stuff would have been already very expensive. And we are not made of gold, and we are literally taking this homesteading process at this point one step at a time, but this has really been made possible by the labor and intention that we have put into it ourselves. So this property is full of wildlife, and some of it in places you wouldn't expect, like inside of a cactus. We do have cactus wrens on the property. You can see, well, it may be too far for the camera to show, but we have mama bird sitting on a low branch over there, and she is a cactus wren. She just flew down to the ground. And I wanted to show you guys cactus wren make their nests in cactus. And this is a lovely cholla. It's taller than I am. I am 5'7". And look at this, we have a nest right here. And let's take a look. There are eggs in that nest. I just think that is so cool to have a piece of property where you can have native wildlife already thriving. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this area so Mom will come back to the nest and take care of them babies. So I remember in my last video, I called this bush right here Awthorn. And while we do have Awthorn on the property, this is actually Javelina bush. Isn't it pretty? Josh calls it the Christmas bush because of the little red berries on it. And something's living down there in that hole. Haven't seen any snakes yet, but one of our neighbors, the sheriff actually, he lives right down the road from us, and I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I see where he's already caught several rattlesnakes this season. Hey look, there's a deer right over there. Hello. I think he's eating the javelina bush. Hi. Now, in the first week here as property owners, the type of wildlife that we've seen ground squirrels, jackrabbits, deer, lots of whip-tailed lizards, ants, and an abundance of birds. We saw a hawk, cactus wrens, mockingbirds, goldfinches, lots of wildlife. We've also found tracks of foxes, that bobcat the first day we had the property, raccoons, and we think coyotes, but it could also be domestic dogs. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys those clips from earlier this week of some of the projects we did and show you as we were working on them some updates. Here you go. So today I'm using our wood chipper and I'm gonna chip these piles of mesquite into mulch that we can use and recycle on the property. And we're gonna have a lot more of these piles coming up as we are surrounded by mesquite. All right, this Saturday morning, Josh is digging a trench from our power pole to this little red flag right there in the distance. And that's gonna be where our electric panel is gonna go. And this coming week, our electric company is gonna come in and install a transformer at the top of the pole, run power to our electric panel, and install a meter for us. So that big pile that was here yesterday, there was one over there and one over here, that's all gone. And I have a mulch pile and another mulch pile here that our wood chipper has just been a complete rock star. And this is all mesquite wood, and this is what it looks like coming out of the wood chipper. It's doing a pretty good job. We're not really sure exactly yet what we're gonna do. Not exactly conducive for walkways, that there are still some thorns coming out. However, I'm wondering, we're probably thinking about composting this and turning it into soil. That's probably going to be what we end up doing here, but you could see that if you used a different kind of wood that didn't have 3-inch thorns, this would be great to use as mulch. You could use it in pathways on top of your garden beds, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, this one survived. There's a hawk up on this power line eating something. I don't know if he'll let me get close enough to get a good image of him. There he goes. This little bird came and sat next to him and scared him away. He's a pretty thing. Can't tell what kind of hawk that is. Hello. I wanted to show you guys, since I didn't get a video or picture of the whiptail lizard in my garden back at the house. This is what has been eating all of my roly-polies and digging up my seedlings. They're actually really incredible. I'm watching them go around eating ants this morning. And Josh and I were just talking about how we wished we would have horny toads on the property to eat the ants. There's at least, I don't know, 3 lizards in this general vicinity that I've been standing in here the past few minutes. They're cute. He's sitting under the cholla in the shade now. And these ants, I'm telling you, like the biggest ants that you've ever seen. Look at this. Like, look at the size difference here. Huge, huge ants. After the rain, we have these yellow rain lilies that are popping up. And it is a type of lily and it bulbs, and they like to sprout up after some heavy rain. So all it took was the rain we had on Thursday to do the trick, and they are all over the property. I'm all dusty. That's not a tan line, it's a dust line. So there you have it. That is the updates, having owned the property from 1 week, about how far we were able to get in progress here on the property. And I will go ahead and get back to work. We have a couple more hours of daylight. Today is Sunday, so I'm gonna start another work week tomorrow. So we'll catch up with you guys next week and tell you what all we were able to do in the future coming up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, for coming along on my short-ish garden tour, and also coming out to see how we did this week on our brand new property of raw land that we are building our future homestead on. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for the support, liking this video, commenting down below, and stay tuned for the next one.